The chip war is a fight to control the future. The US wants to deny China the upper hand, but Washington is losing ground to Beijing in another battleground. That's currency. Countries across the world are ditching the US dollar. Tonight, we want to tell you about how it's playing out in West Asia. Iraq has become the latest country to dump the US dollar. Iraqis are now banned from dealing in the greenback. The announcement was made last week. Iraq's Interior Ministry issued a statement. It was a message for all citizens of Iraq. Listen to this. The dinar is the national currency in Iraq. Your commitment to transact in it instead of foreign currencies boosts the country's sovereignty and economy. So currency has now become a matter of nationalism. But why were Iraqis relying on the dollar in the first place? Well, this is a trend that dates back to the 1990s. It began with the Gulf War in 1991. It was followed by UN sanctions. And then, more than a decade later, the US invaded Iraq. All of this damaged the Iraqi currency, the dinar. It lost value with each conflict and finally collapsed when the Americans invaded some 20 years back. Just to give you an idea, $1 was worth 4,000 Iraqi dinars. So the war killed the Iraqi currency. After the war, the US established a stranglehold on the country, and the US dollar became the de facto currency of Iraq. America also helped establish the Central Bank of Iraq. But this is a cash-dependent economy. According to the World Bank, just 26% of Iraqi companies use the formal banking system, only 26%, about a quarter of them, and 98% of Iraq's companies pay their employees in cash. And since Iraqi dinar lacks value, the US dollar is used to make those payments. But the past few months have been turbulent. America has restricted Iraq's access to dollars. And why is that? To curb money laundering. Washington says dollars from Iraq are being funneled to Iran, Syria and Lebanon. So the Americans limited the supply. This led to a cash crunch in Iraq. With fewer dollars to go around, the Iraqi dinar lost more value. Suddenly, people of Iraq had fewer dollars to use, so they jacked up the price. Officially, $1 was worth 1,460 Iraqi dinars, but on the street exchanges, it was selling for more than 1,700 Iraqi dinars, a single US dollar. You know what that means? When your currency is worth less, goods become more expensive, prices shoot up, inflation rises. And so does public anger. The same happened in Iraq. Citizens took to the streets. The government had to intervene. They decided to ditch the dollar and protect the dinar. Those still using the American currency will face tough punishments in Iraq, a fine of up to 1 million dinars. That's about $680. Repeat violations could lead you to jail. Businesses could lose their license. So Iraq's shift away from the dollar is out of necessity. It also shows how America controls the country 20 years after the invasion. It can cause economic havoc just by limiting the flow of dollars. Iraq's neighbors are watching all of this and exploring alternatives for themselves. In other words, they're all exploring de-dollarization. Last year, Saudi Arabia made an announcement. It would sell oil using different currencies like the euro and the Chinese yuan. Earlier this year, the UAE began talks with India to settle non-oil bills in Indian rupees. Since 2021, the UAE has been part of a pilot project too, a project run by the Swiss Bank for International Settlements. This is about making cross-border payments. It may allow nations to bypass the US dollar. Thailand and China are also part of this project. Long story short, every country worth its salt is looking for alternatives, and the writing is on the wall for the US dollar. It is losing ground.